I'm very honored to have this opportunity to introduce to you a very good friend of mine who has been a pillar of the Vrindavan community since 1972.
76, I moved there.
72. But anyway, so his heart was there in 72. This is in 76. So he's just been he's an author of an abridged version of the Mahabharata, which has been used in college classes in our own country. He's also been has written a book about Hanuman, written a book of poetry. He's not only a great scholar, but a great friend and he's a very great human being. Very, very warm, very gentle, very loving. So I'm very happy to be able to be with him today. We hope you'll enjoy his Kṛṣṇa. And without further ado, let us all welcome Sankirtan prabhu.
Jai Kṛṣṇa. And I'm very happy to be here. Actually, I've been a secret admirer of your group for some years, a couple of years, but a distant admirer. I've always wanted to come here, but I could never make it. I have some health issues and different things that prevents me from getting to impossible places like this place. But I'd like to talk a little bit about Janmastami. Janmastami is coming up pretty soon. And in New Vrindavan, Hare Krishna, we've been celebrating Janmastami for many, many years. I first came to New Vrindavan as a visitor in 1972 for Janmastami. And I had the good fortune to see Srila Prabhupada at that time. And Prabhupada is very, very inclusive. You know, there's three things about Prabhupada. He's very relevant, he's inclusive, and he's empowering. Because even in those days, in the early 70s, you know, devotees, they would join. They would be part of the movement for 2 or 3 years, and then Prabhupada would send them out to start centers. And this center is very, very important. I think this is the wave of the future, the Kirtan centers, people coming together, having Kirtan. Kirtan is a very, very powerful, I could say that it's a tool, although we're serving by engaging in chanting, we're serving Kṛṣṇa. But actually, it's a tool because Kṛṣṇa is also allowing himself to be used as a tool for the development of this extraordinary movement that Prabhupada has brought to America. And it takes on many, many different types of manifestations, I think. And this is one of the cutting edges, the Kirtan Center, coming together, developing a community around Kirtan. So let me begin my kata, and hopefully there'll be some time to have a little bit of discussion, some question and answers, I hope, because this is a long, long story. It actually takes about 4 chapters in the Kṛṣṇa book that Prabhupada has written. And it starts off, the first chapter starts off with the word once. You know, just like we use the term in the West, once upon a time. And actually, Prabhupada also uses that term later on in the Kṛṣṇa book. He starts off a chapter, once upon a time. But once means that he's evoking a story. It's a very amazing story. It's, some people think it's a fairy tale, but this is an extraordinary story. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, Janma karma chame devyam. That means that anyone who understands the Janma, Krishna's birth, karma, Krishna's activities, anyone who understands Krishna's birth and activities as divine, then Krishna promises, yes, you'll purify your life and you'll return to my eternal abode. So that's an extraordinary promise that Krishna makes. And so Prabhupada, he begins the book, the story of Janmastami. Once the world was overburdened by the military forces of different kings who were actually demons, but they were posing themselves as the royal order. Sound familiar? Yes, once the world was overburdened by the unnecessary material forces of different kings. And Bhumi, the goddess of the earth, she felt that burden very, very harshly, and she did what she could only do. She approached Brahma. Brahma is the leader, the grandsire of the universe. He has the topmost planet called Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. And there she approached Brahma with tears in her eyes. Actually, she assumed the form of a calf. And she told Brahma that the land and the people and the animals and the birds are very much disturbed on the earth planet because the earth is overburdened. There's so much difficulty by the demons. And the demons now, they have scooped up the pious kings and they have thrown them into jail, into prison. And they're harassing the Brahmins and the saintly person. Something has to be done. We can't go on like this much longer. Something has to be done. And so Brahma said, yes, something will be done. And so Brahma is just taking up a notch further. He leads Bhumi up to the topmost planet in the material world, which is a planet for Krishna, for Vishnu, called Svetadvip. And so Brahma and Bhumi are going to this distant planet of Svetadvip, and they're accompanied by Shiva on his bull, and Indra on his elephant, and Surya and Chandra, the gods of the sun and the moon, and Agni, the god of fire, and Vayu, the god of the wind, and Kuvera, the god of the wealth. And so all of these extraordinary personalities are on this journey. And when they get to Svetadvip, there they come to the shore of the milk ocean. And they begin to offer prayers. Vishnu is residing in the middle of this ocean. And they're offering prayers. And the prayers are going on and on and on. But you know what? They're listening. But no response is coming. It doesn't seem very hopeful. There's no response. The demigods are wondering, what's going on? Why doesn't Vishnu respond? We're in a calamitous situation. We need Vishnu's help. Why doesn't he respond? And in the meantime, as the demigods, they were seeing this, this in a sense, there's some neglect on behalf of Vishnu. But there's no neglect because Vishnu is responding. And he's sending a message to Brahma within his heart. And he's telling Brahma that I know all about the situation on the earth. and I'll go there to correct the situation. But I want all of the demigods to assist me. So they should all go there as soon as possible to the planet Earth and take birth in the Yadu dynasty. And there, just prepare for my arrival. And so that's Krishna's message. And so some years pass, and then one day in Mathura, this is one of the capital cities of Bharatvarsha, Mathura, there's a grand celebration. There's a marriage of Vasudeva and Devaki. They're both part of the Yadu dynasty. There's many of the gods have taken birth in the Yadu dynasty to assist Krishna's mission when he arrives. And so now there's a great celebration of the marriage. I don't know, did I say birth? But there's the marriage of Vasudeva and Devaki. And there's a grand procession. There's so many musical instruments and so many musicians and so many dancing girls. And Kamsa is driving his chariot, and Vasudeva and Devaki are sitting in the chariot, and he's taking them to their new residence. So this is the duty of the brother of the bride. Of course, the bride, Devaki and Kamsa, they're cousins. But the families in India are so close-knit that the cousins will also call each other brothers and sisters. And so Kamsa is happily driving the chariot, and all of a sudden, there's a voice from the sky. Kamsa! Kamsa, you fool! You are driving the chariot of your sister and brother-in-law, but you do not know that the 8th child of the sister of yours will kill you. And there's that booming voice from the sky. And Kamsa, all of a sudden, he grabs hold of his sword. He turns around, he grabs Devaki's hair. He whips out his sword. And Vasudeva is almost looking helplessly upon the situation. And he makes an appeal. My dear Kamsa, you are the great warrior, a great king of the Bhoja dynasty. Why is it that you're prepared to kill a helpless woman, your own sister, at the time of a marriage? What's the problem? Why? Are you afraid of death? You are a great warrior. You're not supposed to be afraid of death. We're dying at every moment. As soon as we take birth, when we get to be 25 or 30 years old, that means we've already died 25 and 30 years. So you should not be afraid of death. And why should you be afraid of your sister? She's not the one that's going to kill you. The voice said it would be the 8th child of the sister of yours. And so Kamsa wasn't letting go of Devaki's hair. He was very focused. But then Vasudeva makes a promise. And in those days, a promise was a very powerful thing amongst the warriors, amongst the Kshatriyas. And Vasudeva promised that you spare Devaki, and I promise you that I'll bring each of the children that is born from us. I'll bring them to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. And so that appeases Kamsa, because a word of a warrior is so powerful. They are so obliged to keep their word, they would never transgress from not keeping their word. And so anyways, Kamsa releases Devaki's hair and he says, okay, you can bring me the children one by one as soon as they are born. And so sure enough, after a year, Vasudeva comes to Kamsa's palace. He brings the first little baby. And there, Kamsa still, he's not concerned right now. He remembers it's the 8th child. Not only the 8th child, but it's indicated that it's the 8th boy, the 8th son of Devaki. And so anyways, Kamsa, he toasts the child. He toasts to the child, all health upon this newborn child of yours. I don't have to worry about this child at all. It's the 8th son that I have to worry about. So Kamsa has chilled out. But then after Vasudeva leaves, a little while later, a great sage shows up, Narada Muni. And Narada Muni travels around, he plays a veena, a stringed instrument that Krishna has given him. And he travels around all over the material and spiritual worlds. And so now he's coming above Kamsa's palace. And he comes down, down, down. And when Kamsa sees Narada Muni, then he pulls out all welcome. He has a throne for Narada Muni, sumptuous food. Narada Muni doesn't really want anything. He tells Kamsa, I've come here to tell you something very confidentially, that I was present just recently on Mount Sumeru. And the funny thing is that all of the gods, they were on top of Mount Sumeru and they were listening to Brahma. And Brahma was telling them, just be in the Jadu dynasty and don't forget, Krishna will come soon and he'll destroy this demon Kamsa. And when Narada Muni said the word Vishnu, all of a sudden, Kamsa starts shaking uncontrollably. And he's thinking, what's going on? Why am I shaking? He asks Narada Muni, why is it that I'm shaking when you mentioned the name Vishnu? And so Narada Muni, he knows everything, past, present, and future. And he tells Kamsa that in a previous life, you were also a great demon at that time. And the thing is that Vishnu came and killed you during that birth. And now, guess what? Vishnu is coming again to kill you. But, don't worry about a thing. You can outwit Vishnu. The thing is that you have to remember is Vishnu is very crafty. He's very tricky. He may have said the 8th son, but who knows? It could be the 1st son, the 2nd, the 3rd. We don't really know. Krishna is very tricky. He tricked Ravana. And he also tricked Hiranyakashipu. And he tricked Bali. So all of these demons, these great warriors and demons were tricked by Krishna. But you're more intelligent than that. Don't allow yourself to be tricked by Krishna. And so at this point, Narada Muni ascends into the heavens. And Kamsa's thinking, yeah, I can't let myself be tricked. It could be the 1st child, the 2nd child, who knows? He wasn't taking any chances. And he called his captains to go and arrest Vasudeva and Devaki, bring him the child, throw the couple into his dungeon in the bottom of the palace. And not only that, he understands that many of the Yadu princes, they are his enemies. They've taken birth, especially in the Yadu dynasty, to try to destroy him. And so he begins to persecute the Yadus themselves. And many of them run away. These people, they were refugees, just like we have many refugees all over the world now. This is a common occurrence. But in those days, people lived in their places where they took birth for practically their entire lives. But now that Kamsa was engaged in persecuting the members of the Jadu dynasty, And Kamsa even threw his father into prison because he knew that his father would object. And so he threw him into prison, and he was going to kill or imprison or harass the rest of the members of the Yadu dynasty. So they all left. They left for the forest, they left for the mountains, they left for distant countries. And so in this way, after a while, Devaki and Vasudeva in the prison, they had another child. And Kamsa came there when each child was born. He came there. You know, the dungeon was made of rocks, big rocks. And sometimes he killed the child with a knife. Sometimes he killed the child and he threw the child, smashed the child's head against the rocks of the dungeon. So he was a very brutal, vicious personality. And so anyways, time passed, and finally Devaki was pregnant for the 8th time. And Kamsa came down to the dungeon beneath his palace. He peered inside, and he saw Devaki was so beautiful, so effulgent. When women are pregnant, they're usually very attractive, very beautiful looking. There's a glow. But now the glow of Devaki was extraordinary. And Kamsa was thinking, surely Kṛṣṇa is in her womb now. Now I have to act. What should I do? Should I wait until he is born? Or maybe I should take advantage of this moment. And he grabbed hold of his sword. Maybe I'll just go in now and kill Devaki right now. And then it'll be done with. That's what he was thinking. But then he thought, well, wait a minute. Devaki is living under my roof. She's my sister. If I kill Devaki living under my roof, it will ruin my reputation. When people hear my name, they'll spit at the sound of my name. I don't want to ruin my reputation. No, I'll wait. It's not such a long wait. I'll wait until the child is born. He's not going to go anywhere. Vasudeva and Devaki are right here. Hare Krishna. Is that for me? So Vasudeva and Devaki, he's saying they're not going to go anywhere. They're right here in my dungeon. I have control of everything they say or do. I know what's happening. And he told his guards to surround the dungeon. Keep an eye. Whatever they say, whatever they do, report back to him. And not only did he surround the dungeon with guards, he surrounded his palace with guards, and he surrounded the entire city of Mathura. Up and down the streets, everywhere you looked, there were the ice people. So anyways, this is a very unfortunate situation, this persecution of the Yadus. And so, what's going on now? After Kamsa left, it's getting awfully close to the time of Krishna's appearance. But who shows up in the dungeon? All of the gods. The gods come down and they're observing. They come to take darshan of Kṛṣṇa, who is residing within Devaki's womb. And they offer prayers. Actually, I have a few prayers. Would anybody like to say a prayer of one of the demigods? Raise your hand. We'll pass. Okay. Kripamaya, can you pass these? There's 7. So we only have a very limited. Who wants this young child? She can offer a prayer. Yeah, just pass one of the kids over here. Oh, 2 of the kids. I don't know if you have to read it out loud. Who's going to read it out loud? I'll read the first one out loud. These are the prayers. These are the prayers that the demigods offered to Kṛṣṇa in the womb of Devaki. And so we're going to go around the room, starting over here. Do you have one? I'm going to read it first, and then you can start. Oh, my Lord, you are the supreme truth. You must be truthful to achieve your favor. Therefore, the liars and cheaters and hypocrites can never achieve it. You are the inner force. You are equal to everyone. We surrender wholeheartedly to your lotus feet. Okay.
O Lord, you always bring all good fortune to all living entities. You are pleasing to the followers of Dharma. The meditating on your lotus feet, one follows in the footsteps of the great saints and sages.
Okay, pass it around. Who's next? There's one Mataji. Who has a card? Who's reading? Raise your hands. Okay.
O my Lord, you descend into this world to destroy the so-called leaders who burden the earth and create many terrible disturbances. O Lord, you act for the welfare of those who faithfully serve your lotus feet.
Oh my dear Lord, we are fortunate because the heavy burden of the demons upon this earth is immediately removed by your appearance. Please protect us, give us your mercy, and diminish the disturbances in this world.
Does she have does she have one? Yeah.
You want to read out loud?
And when you finish with those, return them to me.
My dear Lord, you resemble the shining sun. You are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotees. Therefore, you are known as a desire tree. To cross this fierce ocean of the material world, let us take shelter of your lotus feet.
Somebody down here. You can return those to me when.
My dear Lord, you can appear anywhere according to your desire, in any one of your eternal forms. You are the cause of all creation and the supreme soul of all living.
Jai.
O my Lord, all respects unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the great soul who is all-pervading and who resides in the hearts of all beings.
And one more. Pass the microphone over here.
Oh my dear Lord, you are always in full knowledge, and you bring all good fortune to all beings. And when you appear in different incarnations, you are very pleasing to the pious and humble devotees. But for even non-devotees, you are destruction.
Yes, Jai. Thank you. And so all of the demigods, they were praying to Kṛṣṇa within Devaki's womb all night long. Let's just have a moment that each one of us offer a prayer to Kṛṣṇa within Devaki's womb. And then came the time, that great day, and all over the world, extraordinary things were happening 5,000 years ago. Please don't. 5,000 years ago, in the east and the west and the north and the south, there was an atmosphere of good fortune. And the rivers were flowing, pristine waters coming from the mountains, and the lakes, they were so beautiful, and the birds were chirping in the forests. And everywhere in the forest, there were so many fruit-bearing trees. Now you go into the forest, you won't find hardly any fruit-bearing trees. But they were everywhere. And these fruits, anyone could come along and take these fruits and be nourished. And so at that time, even the Brahmins who had been persecuted by Kamsa, you know, the Brahmins, they didn't want to perform their Agnihotra sacrifices. They didn't want to perform their prayers or their rituals because they were fearful that Kamsa would come down so hard upon them. But even now, the Brahmins, they became enlivened and offering prayers and lighting up the Agnihotra. You know, in those days, that the prayers of the Brahmins, the sounds of a mantra ignited the Agnihotra, the sacred fire. You didn't have to rub two sticks together. No, they ignited the fire of the sacred prayers through vibration, through sound vibration. And so anyways, now Kṛṣṇa took his birth. It was in the dense darkness of night. He appeared before Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison. And Kṛṣṇa came in a very extraordinary way. He was a little child, but he had 4 arms, holding the 4 symbols of Vishnu, the lotus flower, and the disc, the Sudarshan discus, and the conch shell, and the club. These are the symbols of Vishnu. And he also was born with his hair fully down to his shoulders, and he had a helmet on, and he had different bangles on his wrists and on his arms. And so it was an extraordinary birth. And Vasudeva and Devaki, they were bowing to Kṛṣṇa again and again, offering prayers. And so this was a very extraordinary moment. And Kṛṣṇa, he blessed Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva actually was mentally, you know, he was in the dungeon. And usually if something extraordinary happens to you, such good fortune, that the idea is you have to reciprocate. You give some charity to people and to the Brahmins and to the sages. Even the animals can accept some charity. So Vasudeva was, in his mind, was offering charity to the sages and to the Brahmins and to anyone and everyone. And finally, Vasudeva and Devaki told Kṛṣṇa, you know, Kamsa is pretty wicked. He's killed all of our previous children. So, you know, you have to be very careful. You can't stay here. Do something. Go someplace. Get away from this wicked king. And, you know, just like earlier, the Yadus, they became refugees. So now, at this point, we have Kṛṣṇa himself becoming a refugee. And he tells Vasudeva, yes, I'll become a baby once again, but when I turn into a baby, then you take me out of Mathura, across the Jamuna River, and there in the forest, you'll come upon the village of Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cowherdmen, and you leave me there. His wife, Yasoda, just gave birth to a little baby girl. And I want you to go to that village and you exchange me and take that little baby girl and bring her back here. And so all of a sudden, you know, Kamsa told all of his guards to notify him as soon as the child is born. But the thing is, a mystical slumber descended over the land, and everyone fell soundly asleep. No one was awake at all. They were totally asleep. And the gates of the dungeon flew open, And now comes Vasudeva took the little child and he went up the stairs of the dungeon and across the courtyard of the palace and down the streets of Mathura and across the river Jamuna. And so, let's see, where's that? I had another box someplace.
The basket.
Yes, the baskets. Oh, they're over here. So we have time for another little meditation. You know, there's a lot of pictures. There's a lot of pictures of Vasudeva crossing the river Jamuna, and Vasudeva is holding a basket on his head with little Kṛṣṇa in the basket. So we can all imagine ourselves taking Kṛṣṇa across the Jamuna River, and just hold the basket on top of your head. Just meditate how you're taking Kṛṣṇa across the Jamuna River. Everybody's going to have a chance. Take the basket back that way. So look at the little baby Kṛṣṇa. He's totally helpless. And this is the promise of the warriors. So the mother and father, they want to protect the children at all costs. That's what a mother and father do. They're feeding the children, they're clothing the children, they're housing the children, they're providing an education for the children. They don't ask anything in return. Their love is so wonderful, the love of one's mother and father. They want to protect the children. And how many mothers and fathers are out there in the world? They want to protect those children. And you know also, the dharma of a leader is to protect anyone, or anyone in his kingdom, but even anyone who comes to him for protection. He must provide protection. Anyone that asks, no matter where they came from. Just like we have that wonderful story of Lord Ram. He and the monkey warriors, they came to the shores of southern India. They were about to attack Lanka. And who shows up at the camp of the monkey warriors? Ravana's brother, Vibhishan, and several of his assistants. And they come from Lanka, the island of Lanka, to the shores of southern India. And everyone is enraged. This man is the brother of Ravana. Why should we give him any protection? It doesn't make any sense. He's going to he's come here to find out what our plan is, and he's going to turn on us. He'll destroy us. But you know what? Ram doesn't think like that. Ram thinks these group of people, they've come to me for protection. As a human being and as a leader, it's my dharma to give protection. Just like the dharma of a scorpion is to sting. But I'm not going to sting. They want my protection. I'm giving it. Hari, you can give me. And so, anyways, this is the dharma of protection. Very important. A civilized culture. There's many, many examples in the Vedic literatures of some stranger or enemy coming to the king or the leader for protection, and he obliges, he gives that protection without any second thought. And so anyways, finally, Vasudeva goes across the river, and he goes into the forest. He goes into the village of Nanda Maharaj, and there, all across the land, everyone's asleep. And so Devaki, as soon as she Nanda Maharaj's wife, Yasoda, as soon as she gave birth to the child, she fell asleep. And she didn't know if she gave birth to a girl or a boy. She didn't know. But now Vasudeva comes in and puts Kṛṣṇa down in her lap and takes the little child that Yasoda gave birth to. It happened to be a girl. And then he crosses back across the river. He goes into the city of Mathura, goes down the stairs to the dungeon, and he locks himself back in, and he gives the child to his wife, Devaki. And now the child starts to cry and cry and cry. And all of a sudden the guards wake up and they go running upstairs to Kamsa's quarters. Kamsa, Kamsa, the 8th child is born. The 8th child is born. Kamsa wakes up in the dead of night. Now the cruel death of my life is born. And he jumps up out of bed and he grabs a knife and he runs recklessly down the hallway and down the stairs to the dungeon. And he throws open the door of the dungeon. Vasudeva is so exhausted, he's fallen asleep. But there, Devaki is cradling the child. And Kamsa looks and he says, "Give me the child." And Devaki looks up. Prabhupada says that Devaki, since she is the wife of a warrior, the warriors and the Kshatriyas, they know the art of diplomacy. And so if there's some wicked personalities that comes there and threatens you, the first thing is you can leave it over here on this chair. So the first thing is that you speak kindly to them. Don't get excited. Just speak kindly. Try to use your intelligence to engage their intelligence. You could, just put it over here. Thank you. You can just leave them over here. And so, even though Kamsa is so cruel, he demands, "Give me the child." And Devaki says, "Oh, my dear brother, it's nice that you've come. You know, the funny thing, the prophecy said that you would be killed by a boy. But the funny thing is, the girl that I have now, she's a girl, not a boy. And so please don't harm this child. You've killed all of my other children. Please let this one live. Give her to me as a gift." But Kamsa was ruthless. "Give me the child." And then she wasn't fazed at all by Kamsa's demands. She said, "You know, my dear brother, don't you have a boy? He's still a young child. But now I have a daughter. And when they grow up, why don't they get married together? And it will bring our families closer together." So she's creating all sorts of diplomatic reasons why the child should live. But finally, he gets totally impatient. He grabs the child from Devaki. He's about to smash the head of the child against the brick walls of the dungeon. But then, all of a sudden, the child slips out of his hands and appears as Durga. Durga, she has 8 arms, holding 8 weapons, and she's looking down at Kamsa, hovering above. And she says, "Kamsa, you're such a fool. You think you can kill me, Durga? No, of course not. And the person that you're looking for is already someplace else in this world. Don't be so cruel to your poor sister." And then Durga disappears. And Kamsa is totally freaked out. He doesn't know what to do. All of these years, he's been working on the assumption that the voice from the sky said the 8th child would be a boy and it would kill him. And so he doesn't know what to do. He releases Devaki and Vasudeva and sends them back to their home. And the next morning, Kamsa gathers his ministers and he tells them what happened. And so he's getting advice. And the ministers say, you know what? The best thing, we don't know where Kṛṣṇa is now, but the best thing, let's send out our demon friends and scour the countryside and let's kill off all the children born within the last 10 days. And also another thing, you know, we have these three personalities who control the universe: Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Well, we don't have to worry about Brahma. He's always meditating. And Shiva is such a crazy person. He hangs out in the crematoriums and he smears his body with the ashes of the dead. He's crazy, totally freaked out. And Vishnu, you know the funny thing? We don't know where Vishnu is. We don't know where Vishnu is. But if you want to destroy Vishnu, Vishnu manifests himself in the form of the cows and the Brahmins and the form of Dharma, the good qualities that human beings have. You know, there's 4 basic principles of Dharma. There's truthfulness, compassion, internal and external cleanliness, and also self-sacrifice, giving and charity. And so if we want to destroy Vishnu, let us destroy these symbols of Vishnu. And so Kamsa is shaking his head. Yes, good idea, good idea. And so he sends out his demon forces to all the villages, kill off all the children born in the last 10 days. And in the Kṛṣṇa book, we see so many demons are going into the village of Vrindavan where Kṛṣṇa lives. But you know what? None of them ever come out alive. Jai Shri Kṛṣṇa! Hari Bol! And so this is a very special time. Nanda Maharaj gathered all of the residents of Vrindavan together and he made an announcement. My dear residents of Vrindavan, I have wonderful news. My wife Yasoda has given birth to a wonderful, beautiful child. I want this child to be happy in all respects. So I'll give many cows in charity to the Brahmins. He gave away 200,000 cows in charity. And he gave away so many other gifts to everyone and anyone who would accept gifts. And so anyways, this is what is we would call a real civilized culture. Let me just read you one thing. I'll finish off with this and maybe we'll have a few moments. So Grandfather Bhishma Dev, this is just to be a civilized human being. One of the things, not to be angry. Number 2, don't lie. Tell the truth. 3, to distribute wealth when you can. 4, to be forgiving. 5, to beget children only by one's wife. 6, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body. 7, not to be inimical toward anyone. 8, to live simply. And 9, this is the last one, to support all of your servants and subordinates, to make sure that everyone is engaged properly, that everyone is employed properly. So this is just the qualities of a civilized human being. So it's a great opportunity to learn these stories, to understand what they mean in my life, and to chant the holy name of Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so, thank you. So we'll just take 1 or 2 moments. Is there any final thoughts or questions in regards to our this Janmastami. So I'm glad that everyone's satisfied. And so, would you like to? What is the next thing on the agenda here?
Next thing will be flower abhishek.
Mm-hmm.
Lead a Sankirtan and then have everybody come up and do flower abhishek.
I do have one last announcement. I have some of my books that I brought with me. I've written a couple of books. One is the Mahabharata, and which is being used in some colleges. And in the bookstores, they sell for $20 for all of the devotees. They're $15. My Hanuman book sells for $14 in the stores for all the devotees, $10. And I also have my contact information. Please take one of my flyers. If you're coming to New Vrindavan, don't hesitate to look me up. So I'll keep these over here. If you'd like to take a look, you're welcome. Take a flyer if you like. And if you have some question later on, don't hesitate to ask. So I'm sorry, that's my last thought and announcement.
There you go.